Let's pray in, man. Take a deep breath. Father, just want to thank you for giving us this moment, man. Allowing us to communicate with you and allowing me to feel your presence today. Just fill this group up. Fill our hearts up and our minds and our spirits with your power and your spirit. And allow us to just do your work, whatever that looks like. No matter how big or how small the scale is, just allow us to do your work and be satisfied with that. And know that it's your work and not ours. Speak through me and use me. Keep my mouth closed and open yours up. In your name. Amen. So, we're coming to an end. We'll see anyway. We'll see how this goes. So we're on page 96. We've been talking about the first approach with an individual. A lot of first through third step stuff is what we've been talking about on how to approach the individual and how we're relating our own experiences to, to the individual. Carrying the message with depth and weight. We talked about Bill and Bob, how Bill approached Bob, and how, like, when someone understands, when you're talking about the mental phenomenon and how I convince myself to use, no matter what, it's just, and everybody that is one of us can identify. When you're talking about that, you know what, man, I convince myself even when I'm clean to do it again. And people relate to that, like, man, like the probation thing we were talking about, and a lot of different experiences. All of us have different experiences with that and how we convince ourselves mentally to take the first one. Man, I'm humbled by this experience. I'm humbled that I've been able to do this with you guys and the message that's being carried. And it's real cool to be able to see that you guys can go back and review this stuff. We might not finish tonight, or I might just go a little longer and finish. I don't know, and I already had made a point that I'm probably not going to go into. It's possible, but I'm going to be going back to Delaware for a little while. Not sure, to see what's going on with my family and my brother's situation, and so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this anyway, because we're going to take a trip here next month regardless. So never know, maybe we'll get back on and do the advanced chapters is what I call them anyway, or maybe not. So we're on page 96 of the book Alcoholics Anonymous. Right before we ended, we were talking about not chasing a man who cannot or will not work with you. Makes no sense to do that. There's too many people, and we talked about you're depriving someone else that wants to carry or wants the message by trying to work with someone and say that you have a sponsor, or saying that I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not like judging anyone or anything like that. I'm just saying I've done the same thing where, like, I won't take on another sponsee because I'll say I have sponsees that aren't doing the work yet. They still will call me occasionally, but consistently haven't done anything. Yet I won't take on another guy because it's really just an excuse. It might be a guy that wants to do the deal, that is ready and stuff like that, but I'll deprive him because in my head, and sometimes it's the truth. We'll deprive someone thinking that it's the truth for us, and sometimes we do it because it becomes a busy life. I know it is for me, and what a magnificent life it is to be in service. So, page 96, second paragraph, and you can underline this so you know where it's at. Suppose now you are making your second visit. to a man. He has read this volume and says he is prepared to go through with the 12 steps. We talked about how in the beginning I identified or like put in a format of exactly what we're going to do, what this fellowship is about. Not the meetings, not call me every day. I outlined a program of action that we're going to take, just like the book tells me to do. I outlined a program of action that we're going to take, and if you're willing to take that, then let me know. And some people won't call you back, which is cool. Doesn't seem like they're ready. And then you got stuff like this where like somebody call you back and say, yeah, I'm ready. So when second approach is usually when he calls me like, yo, what you said, that stuff you outlined, any length, I'm willing to go. And then we get started. So he's prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program of recovery. Having had the experience yourself, you can give him much practical advice, right? We've been through it. So you could definitely give him practical advice because we've been through it. Let him know you are available if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story. And do not make a decision and tell you a story. Why? So we can get all the information we can so we know how to better approach the individual. Let him know we are available if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story, but do not insist upon it if he prefers to consult with someone else. Yeah, I'm going to do that 12-step stuff you're talking about, but I'm going to find somebody else. Cool. Cool, man. I'm still here. Call me. He may be broke and homeless. This is some cool stuff. If he is, you might try to help him about getting a job or give him a little financial assistance. We've all done that, those of us that work with others. But you should not deprive your family or creditors of money they should have. You're not helping somebody else and depriving your responsibilities. Perhaps you will want to take the man into your home for a few days. This is very important for you to underline and highlight. Be sure to use discretion. And I underline that, and then I'll also put on top of it intuition. I'm using intuition on whether I'm bringing someone into my home or not. My spirit's like, yo, man, I give somebody a couple days to like rest their neck, someone who's already doing the deal and stuff like that, cool. Then you got people who are like just trying to kick on your couch. And my boy Brian Beatty, who we just attended his funeral last night, which was amazing, by the way. It was beautiful. What a celebration of life that was. Who like would listen, let people kick on. Matter of fact, my boy Mike, who was there last night as well, did kick on his couch. You know, it's cool stuff, man. Be certain he will be welcomed by your family. You're not bringing somebody in your home when the wife is like, yo, what the, you know, remember we're consulting. So, and that he is not trying to impose on you for money, connection, or shelter, which people do. That was my deal coming in. Before, in the beginning, I didn't know what was going on. I was just trying to come and get a connection and get a job, man, and seen some people that were doing financially better than I was and just wanted to kick it with them. Be honest. Permit that and you will only harm him. You will be making it possible for him to be insincere. You may be aiding in his destruction rather than in his recovery. Very important stuff to pay attention to. Never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of our recovery. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. We do it all out here too. You have to act the Good Samaritan every day if need be. It may mean loss of. This is so cool. This is the truth, but it's amazing to be in this position. It may mean many nights sleep, loss of sleep, great interference with your pleasures, interruptions to your business. It may mean sharing your money or your home, counseling frantic wives and relatives, innumerable trips to the police courts, sanitariums, hospitals, jails, and asylums. Absolutely, I agree. Anyone who's been working with others, that's my life, man. That's my life, and it sounds like, okay. Let me be clear. So if you're just coming into this book study, or you're watching this particular one, we did a lot of work before this, to where this in the beginning would look like, I don't want nothing to do with that. Today, being through the work, I want everything to do with that, because the result I get internally is unlike any high you'll ever feel in your life. Bottom line. What we ain't done yet. Your telephone may jingle at any time of the day and night. Yeah. Your wife may be sometimes say she's neglected, or your girlfriend or husband or boyfriend. A drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. Nodding out with a cigarette. You may have to fight with him if he is violent. All this has happened to me. These are actually, in all honesty, these are promises. Sometimes you will have to call a doctor and administer sedatives under his discretion. People OD, and you definitely going to have to call the doctor sometimes. And you're definitely going to have to do this one too. Another time, you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Yep. Occasionally, you will have to meet such conditions. You will. And it's cool because you get to be there for somebody other than yourself, man. And the result is unbelievable. Being straight up. I know if you're just coming into this sounds like something that you don't want to be a part of. But trust me, I honestly can tell you, you will love to be a part of this. We seldom allow an alcoholic to live in our home for a long time. It is not good for him, and it sometimes creates serious complications in the family. Don't even need to say anything about that. Though an alcoholic does not respond, there is no reason why you should neglect his family. You should continue to be friendly to them. The family should be offered your way of life. Spiritual principles, living this way, we already talked about in the very beginning of this book. Benefit to everyone, helps all in the forwards. Should they accept and practice spiritual principles, there is a much better chance that the head of the family will recover. And even though he continues to drink, the family will find life more bearable. For the type of alcoholics who is able and willing to get well, little charity in the ordinary sense of the word is needed or wanted. When jokers want to get well, man, I'm sorry for using the word. I'm just saying, when people want to get well, it's not a good word to use. Jokers. When people want to get well, I was a joker, by the way. When people want to get well, they don't really even want or need charity. Like they're like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll be okay. I got a job, man. Start tomorrow, you know? And that's cool, man. People want to get on their own feet. And that's a beautiful thing. I did too. The men, you want to highlight, underline this. You got your highlighter pens out. The men who cry for money and shelter before conquering alcohol are on the wrong track. That is me in a nutshell. Yo, I just need a job, man. Like, I need a job and I'll be cool. Yo, you don't understand. Like, I can't do this right now. I got to get home to my family. I got kids, man. Like, I got to get a job and, like, be there for my family. Ain't been there for your family in umpteen years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm 30 days sober. Oh, I can't do this work. I ain't got time to sit here and do this. I gotta get a job and get out there and move, man. And I get it, because that's what our hearts tell us to do, is like, yo, you got to get back on track, but not knowing that this is the way to do that. The more I get into that caught up stuff of like, I got to get a job and a girlfriend and stuff like that, like I got to take care of mines, all that mess, I'm heading for destruction, man. I'm heading for destruction. You're on the wrong track. You're on the wrong track. Yet, we do go to great extremes to provide each other with these very things when such action is warranted. When someone's doing the work, you'll know, your spirit will let you know, like, yeah, man, this dude is ready. You know, he's doing the work. He ain't got no problem with doing it, but he needs some financial assistance. People that are crying like, I got to get a job and all that stuff before I do this, are on the wrong track. People like are doing this and like trying to take care of themselves, yeah, we'll help them. This may seem inconsistent, but we think it is not. And why do we think it's inconsistent? Because it just told us a couple paragraphs before that we don't provide such things. You know, they're on the wrong track, but then it's telling us to give them some money, you know, and stuff like that. It tells them we can bring them into our home, may provide them some financial assistance in the last couple paragraphs, and then it's telling us like, you know, don't do that. They're on the wrong track. But then it's saying this is inconsistent. So what is that telling you? Use your intuition. You're awake at this point. Let's be clear. You are awake at this point. You know when and sometimes you might get beat, you know, over the head a couple times doing stuff like this. But it's all to the good, man. Okay, I learned, man. This whole thing is a learning process where I don't look at situations that are rough, tough, and bad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I look at them like, what can I take from this? Next paragraph, 98, page 98. It is not the matter of giving that is the question, but when and how to give. My spirit tells me. That often makes the difference between failure and success. The minute we put our work on a service plane, the alcoholic commences to rely upon our assistance rather than upon God. And you can't help anyway. He clamors for this or that, claiming he cannot master alcohol until his material needs are cared for. So now we're given an explanation of the kind of guy we're talking about that we don't help. The person who's crying for money and conquering alcohol. So let's give a good description of this guy. He clamors for this and that, claiming he cannot master alcohol until his material needs are cared for. This is one of the most beautiful sentences in the book. Besides, there's two sentences in the book that are unreal in one word. One is on page 45. Guy gotta have a power greater than himself. Obviously, period. Right? And then this one. Until his material needs are cared for, he's crying that he can't master alcohol and this and that. I got to do this first, right? And then it's got this word, which is a sentence. Nonsense. You can circle, highlight, and abbreviate it. What a beautiful sentence. Nonsense, man. Nonsense. You don't need any of that stuff. None of that stuff worked for you a zillion times. We're on page 98 for those of you who are just coming in. We're in the middle of the page. Some of us have taken very hard knocks to learn this truth. I did. Check this out, though. Highlight, underline. Job or no job. Wife or no wife. We simply do not stop drinking so long as we place dependence upon our other people ahead of the dependence upon God. And we'll say higher power, group of drunks or any of that stuff. As long as I put my dependence upon God over other people, I'm going to be all right. Keep highlighting. I bracket that whole paragraph because it gives you a great explanation on how to see those type of individuals. And this is a beautiful paragraph as well. I highlight it. All highlighted. Burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get, and woman, that they can get well regardless of anyone. The only conditions is that he trusts in God and clean house inventory, man. Straight up. That's unbelievable. So, cool stuff. Now, you can right next to this paragraph, domestic trouble. How we deal with that. How we deal with someone that's going through domestic trouble. So you can, I'll give you a second to write that. Now, bottom of page, last paragraph, page 98. Now, the domestic problem. There are many divorces, separation, or just strained relations. When your prospect has made such reparation as he can to his family, and has thoroughly explained to them the new principles by which he is living, he should proceed to put those principles into action at home. Oh, you ain't Mr. Spiritual at the meeting and then going home and telling your wife. I mean, I'm sure every wife and husband has told their wives and husbands to shut up at some point, but it's not like we're living this life everywhere, which we got other chapters for. So let's continue. So now the domestic trouble, the divorce. So as soon as he's made reparations, he practiced these principles in his and into action at home. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, can't get it out. Gotta get it out, my boy. That is, if he is lucky enough to have a home. Some people will be completely lost. I mean, divorced for 10 years, talking about they got to take it, ain't took care of kids or nothing. Me, right? Ain't been divorced though, but ain't took care of kids or nothing. We'll talk about I got to do this and take care of my kids for any of this stuff. It's crazy. Though his family be at fault in many respects, he should not be concerned about that. Ain't got nothing to do with them. We working on us. We're not doing this to get a family back or to get the girl back or to get my kids back. We're doing this because like we have an issue and we have to change. I have to have live a spiritual basis of life or else, as the book describes. Though his family is at fault in respects, we're not concerned about that. He should concentrate on his own, I underline this, spiritual demonstration. We covered demonstration and what that looks like in full detail from the very beginning in the forwards. The demonstration. Argument and fault finding are to be avoided like the plague. In many homes, this is a difficult thing to do, but it must be done if any results are to be expected. And let's be honest. Has argument and fault finding ever worked out for you? Has that ever been a good thing to do? Has it ever worked? Yeah, probably not. So we got to proceed in a different way. If persisted in for a few months, the effect on a man's family is sure. That's almost a guarantee. Of an effect on a man's family is sure to be great. I have living evidence of that. The most incompatible people discover they have a basis upon which they can meet. Little by little, the family may see their own defects and admit them. These can then be discussed in an atmosphere of helpfulness and friendliness, not argument and fault finding. After they have been this is cool, underline, after they have seen tangible evidence and results, the family will perhaps want to go along. These things will come to pass naturally and in good time, provided, however, the alcoholic continues to demonstrate that he can be sober, considerate, and helpful regardless of what anybody says or does. Doesn't matter if they're threatening you, or makes no difference of what's going on. You can be all those things and demonstrate all those things regardless of what someone says or does. Of course, we all fall much below this standard many times. Going to mess up. But we must try to repair the damage immediately, lest we pay the penalty by another spree. If there be divorce or separation, there should be no undue haste for the couple to get together. The man should be sure of his recovery. That's about it. The wife should fully understand this new way of life. If their old relationship is to be resumed, you had this horrible relationship through drinking and all the commotion and destruction that we cause, like the tornadoes we are. And it can be resumed on a better basis, and they're willing to do the work, right? They must be on a better basis. If their old relationship is to be resumed, it must be on a better basis, since the former didn't work. The old one didn't work. How did your approach did that approach work for you last time? No. So obviously we have to try a different approach, and when you're on a spiritual basis, you'll want to do a different approach and be understanding and effective. This means a new attitude and spirit all around. Whole life, man, 360, man. Sometimes it is to be the best interest of all concerned that a couple remain apart. Obviously, no rule can be laid down. It's pretty cool they stayed away from that. Like, yo, you gonna be with her or not? I mean, it's up. Hey, whatever. People will tell you to stay out of a relationship for the first year of recovery. I don't know where that's at in the book. Certainly isn't anything I've ever read. However, and let's be like, if you're married, how you gonna tell a married man, yo, don't get in a relationship for a year, don't go back to your wife for a year? Like, I don't want to get into it. Let me shut up. I'm not going to turn that rock over. But there are some times where you want to be apart, Obviously, if it's not going well, and obviously there's no rule that can be laid down. It's all up to you and what's going on, what's the current situation, how much damage did you cause, is there forgiveness involved, is there not, what's your demonstration look like? I mean, a whole lot of stuff that we've already covered. Understand? So let the alcoholic continue his program day by day. That's it, man. Then the time for living together has come. It will be apparent by both parties. Let no alcoholic say he cannot recover unless he has his family back. This just isn't so. In some cases, the wife will never come back for one reason or another. Remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent upon people. It is dependent upon his relationship with God. We have seen men get well whose families have not returned at all, and then we have seen others slip when the family came back too soon. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, here's a promise. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. It's a promise. This ain't some stuff they're like just coming up to make you interested. This is true in my own life and millions of our lives. We're on page 100. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were far better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, God, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances may be. Wife, no wife, girl leaving you, deaths in the family, Jimmy OD'd, I lost my job. Doesn't matter. You'll be okay, man. When working with a man and his family, You should take care not to participate in their quarrels, their arguments. You may spoil your chance of being helpful if you do. I have to share this because this is an experience, and it's an important experience to be talked about. How many of us have talked bad about our significant other, right? Just keeping it real. I'm gonna be brief with this. How many times have we all talked about our significant other to another person, and they would agree with us? Sorry, and they would agree with us and say, "Yeah, man, leave her," or "Yeah, he's a dick anyway, girl," and all this other stuff, right? And then later, 20 minutes later, we're back together. And then all of a sudden, you know what we do? We tell her, "Yeah, man, I was like," even Susie said, because we bring it up in the argument or whatever before we make up. "Even freaking Johnny told me not to mess with you," you know, and all this other stuff. And now she hates Johnny, or say Johnny's the sponsor or the sponsor, and the sponsor gets involved in stuff like this. And if he gets involved in these arguments and quarrels, that's my Pop, y'all. Say what's up, Pop.
You.
Look at the camera, Pop. Tell him what's up.
What's up? What the heck is this thing?
This is Facebook Live, Pop. We're doing a book study. Yeah, man.
Great.
It's my Pop, man. You gotta turn that light off. This thing messes the camera up, Pop.
Ain't no good?
No.
That's
my best friend today. You know what I mean? I mean,
how about that light?
That light's fine, Pop. Whatever you can turn the other one on. I don't care, man. Turn all the lights on. It doesn't even matter, man. I love you, man.
I don't need it on.
So, like we're talking, if as a sponsor, if you get involved with a relationship and then it turns bad, all of a sudden he don't want you to be a sponsor no more. All of a sudden, it's just ineffective. You know what I'm saying? Because people get back with their girl, so you just kind of stay out the deal, and it's hard sometimes because you might know that there's some slimy stuff going on or whatever, but you're like, you know what? Yeah, nah, man. Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. You just kind of stay neutral in the situation and get a person to look at their own behaviors. And if we're clear on this work and we're doing the deal and you're doing some 10-step work and you're sponsoring a person anyway, you shouldn't be talking about anybody else. We're trying to get someone to look at their own actions, fault, and all that stuff, and own mistakes and error and judgment and all that stuff on their own. Not what's wifey's. Well, tell me what she did. And you can't listen to that stuff anyway because you're only getting half truth. So, that's just what it is, man. We have seen men get well whose families have not returned at all, and we've seen others. Both of the new man walk day and day in the path. Where we at? Sorry. Oh, don't get involved in their quarrels. We're on the page 100, second paragraph, third paragraph. You may spoil their chance of being helpful if you do, but urge upon a man's family that he is a very sick person that should be treated accordingly. You should warn against arousing resentment or jealousy. Yeah. You should point out that his defects of character are not going to disappear overnight. Show them that he has entered upon a period of growth. Ask them, let's highlight this. Ask them to remember when they are impatient the blessed fact that he's sober. Oh, Matt, I've had this has actually happened. Matt, how are you even sponsoring him and this and all type of stuff is going on. I'm just like, hey man, like you can't tell me that this isn't better than it was. Like you're not worrying about whether he's gonna come home tonight or not, whether he's dead or not. You know, but it's growth, man, and it's relationship stuff is difficult as we're describing. You know. If you have been successful in solving your own domestic problems, tell the newcomers. Anybody successful in handling their own domestic problems? Yeah, man. Cool. It's difficult, but it has happened, and I've been successful in handling some domestic problems. Tell the newcomer's family how that was accomplished. In this way, you can set them on the right track without becoming critical of them. The story of how you and your wife settle your difficulties is worth any amount of criticism. Just relating your own experiences. Here we go again, right? Just talking, well, my experiences is this, and that's all I will give a person on relationships. My experience is this, man, but hey, man, every relationship is different. Assuming we are spiritually fit, we can do all sorts of things alcoholics are not supposed to do, like end up at a crack house with people shooting dope and all that stuff. Just for me, that I'm spiritually fit, not through the work, but spiritually fit and through the work, both, you know. I can end up at someone's house and there to try to help them, not there to try to steal some amusement or joy as we described in other chapters. I'm there to be helpful and do God's work, not there to try to steal some crazy pleasure out of the deal and maybe stumble into a sniff or something. Assuming we're spiritually fit, we can do all sorts of things that we're not supposed to do. People have said we must not go where alcohol is served. We must not have it in our homes. Let's talk about that. We must shun friends who drink. We must avoid movie pictures with showing drinking scenes. We can't go into the stores because it's alcohol. We got to stay in the basement under lock and key. We can't go into bars. Our friends must hide their bottles if we go into their houses. We mustn't think or be reminded about alcohol at all, or drugs. We meet these conditions every day. You're not spiritually fit if you can't. So that would tell you if you're spiritually fit or not. If you're uncomfortable walking into the store and smelling weed outside, and you're like, whoa, you smell that? Somebody's smoking. Yeah, man, people smoke, man. We meet these conditions every day. An alcoholic who cannot meet them still has an alcoholic mind. This is the book, page 101, man. What do you know? There is something the matter with his spiritual status. I highlight and underline that. We meet these conditions every day. An alcoholic who cannot meet them still has an alcoholic mind. There is something the matter with his spiritual status. His only chance for sobriety would be someplace like the Greenland ice cap. And even there, an Eskimo might turn up with a bottle of scotch to ruin everything. With an explanation point. Ask any woman who has sent her husband to distant places on the theory that he would escape his alcohol problem. They'll tell you how that worked. In our belief, I underline all this and highlight it. In our belief, any scheme of combating alcoholism which proposes to shield the sick man from temptation is doomed for failure. You ain't shield nobody from this life. There's people all around us that live it, and normal people that do it. If the alcohol tries to shield himself, he may succeed for a time, but he usually winds up with a bigger explosion than ever. We have tried these methods. These attempts to do the impossible have always failed. So, our rule is not to avoid a place where there is drinking. If we, and it's in whatever you call it, if we have a legitimate reason for being there. Let's talk about legitimate reasons. That includes bars, nightclubs, dances, receptions, weddings, even plain ordinary whoop-dee parties. To a person who has had experience with an alcoholic, this may seem like tempting providence, but it isn't. You will note that we made an important qualification. If you are spiritually fit. If you are not spiritually fit and still have an alcoholic mind and something's wrong with your spiritual status, you might not want to be in a situation like this. Even just to be there for the friends or the family or a wedding or whatever like that. might want to stay away if you are if there's something the matter with your spiritual status. And for real, the 12th step tells us, man, that having had a spiritual awakening, so it shouldn't be something wrong with my spiritual status. And there are brief times that there may be something wrong with your spiritual status after going through the work. And I would point you in the direction of going through the work again. The first 9 steps. You will note that we made an important qualification. Spiritually fit. Therefore, you can even write on top of that, spiritually fit is the important qualification. Therefore, ask yourself on each occasion, each place you end up like this, ask yourself this: have I got good social, business, or personal reason for going to this place? That's an important. And you had not, oh yeah, well, I mean, it's, you know, some stupid reason. Is there a good and important reason for you to be there? Is it necessary for you to be there? You know? Yes? Cool. Or are you expecting to steal a little various pleasure from the atmosphere of these places? If you answer these questions satisfactorily, you need have no apprehension. Don't worry about it. Go or stay away, whichever seems best. Now, I underline all that. But be sure you are on solid. Here we go again with the important qualification. Be sure you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and your motive. And 2 things. Number 1, you're on solid spiritual ground, and number 2, your motives. Your motive is going is thoroughly good. Thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. And if you're like me and you're on this plane and living this life, you're going into situations like this, like I just described to you with my friend who just passed away, attended his funeral last night. I went into it thinking of what I can bring to this situation. But if you are shaky, you had better work with another alcoholic instead. And it even gives you some things to do if you are shaky. I bracket this whole paragraph. Why sit with a long face in places where there is drinking, sighing about the good old days? If it is a happy occasion, try to increase the pleasure of those there, man. Cracking jokes, watching people stumble over I don't care if somebody drinks. I know I can't drink like that, and I'm watching a normal person get drunk, you know, and they're like shit-faced, and I'm just watching them like, oh man. And our family's weddings are nuts, you know what I mean? We have some good crazy family weddings, and people get smashed, and I would go today and just laugh and have fun there, man, and bring some love to the occasion, man. You know, it's a happy occasion. Try to increase the pleasure of those there, man. If a business occasion, go and attend to your business enthusiastically. If you are with a person who wants to eat in a bar, by all means, go along. Let your friends know they are not in charge to change their habits on your account. You know, we have one of my brothers is still struggling, so it's not like my family doesn't keep liquor in the home, but they can now. Me and my other brother Chris, we don't care about that stuff. It doesn't matter if you drink; you can drink it or not. Doesn't matter. You know, it really doesn't. It's crazy, man. If you are a person who wants to eat at a bar, then go, man. If you want to go to your business, go and deal with your business enthusiastically. Let your friends know they need to change their habits on your account. Underline this. At a proper time and place, explain to all your friends why alcohol disagrees with you. I have an allergy. I drink alcohol. I break out in the handcuffs. People say I break out in the phenomenon of craving as soon as I drink or use a substance, and my life is shambles. If you do this thoroughly, few people will ask you to drink. If you explain it thoroughly, this is what happens to me, ain't nobody going to ask you to drink. No one asks me anyway. My family is very aware of what happens to me. They lived it with me. While you were drinking, you were withdrawing from life little by little, man. That's what we was doing. Now you are getting back into the social life of this world. Don't start to withdraw again just because your friends drink liquor. Your job now, I circle that, is to be at the place where you may be of max, this, and I highlight and underline all this. Your job now, remember, you have a new employer. Don't forget, remember, as the book tells us, remember, I got a new employer, all powerful. My job now is to be at a place where I may place myself at maximum benefit and helpfulness to others, so never hesitate to go anywhere if you can be helpful. You should not hesitate to visit the most sordid spot on earth on such an errand, and I won't. Told God, you know my prayer. I'll go wherever you want me to go, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. And mean it. Keep on the firing line of life with these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. Another promise. Many of us keep liquor in our homes. We often needed to, this is on having it in the house. You can write that next to this whole next thing. We are going to finish up. Definitely. Many of us keep liquor in our homes. We often need it to carry green circuits recruits through a severe hangover. People need to get through the DTs. Some of us still serve it to our friends, provided they are not alcoholic. But some of us think we shouldn't serve it liquor to anyone. We never argue this question. They ain't doing no arguing. We feel that each family, in the light of their own circumstances, ought to decide for themselves. Page 103. Coming to the ends, man. We are clear never to show intolerance or hatred of drinking as an institution. Underline that. And then circle experience. Shows, and I'll highlight this, shows that such an attitude is not helpful to anyone. Experience shows me that showing hatred, I hate liquor and drugs, I hate them, is not an attitude. That attitude is not helpful to anyone. Every new alcoholic looks for this spirit among us and is immensely relieved when he finds we are not witch burners. Laugh out loud. A spirit of intolerance, I underline and highlight this, a spirit of intolerance might repel alcoholics whose lives could have been saved. We don't go anywhere with, what? You work at a bar? What? You got to quit your job. Chill, dude. We would not even do the cause of temperate drinking any good. For not one drinker in 1,000 likes to be told anything about alcohol by one who hates it. Someday we hope that Alcoholics Anonymous will help the public to a better realization of the gravity of the alcoholic problem. Has it not? We certainly have. But we shall be of little use to our attitude if our attitude is one of bitterness or hostility. Drinkers will not stand for it. After all, our problems were of our own making. It's in italics. That's the word. Bottles were only a symbol. That's it. Just a symbol and a symptom. Besides, we have stopped fighting anybody or anything. We have to. So, it's been an honor, man. It really has. I'm not going to continue on with the advanced chapters as of now. Maybe that's something we'll get into at a later date or something like that, because it's all great information. There's only there's four more. You got To the Wives, you got Family Afterwards, you got To the Employers and A Vision for You, and all that stuff is to help us to be effective and carry these spiritual principles in all the modes and what to look for. It's a lot of beautiful, great, and magnificent information in there too. But that is the work. 103 pages, right? That's the just of the work, man. 103 pages. I know you see this book and you're like, all that, and we're like, nah, man. Just this, man. Just that. That's it. That's all we're doing. So it has truly been my honor, man, and thank God I've been placed in a position to be useful, man. And it has been an honor. This has been like a 10-week journey or something like that. And it's real cool to have done this, man. And I'm happy for those of you that may watch on a later date or some other time and get something from this study. And it's very beautiful, man. I can't say anything other than thank you for attending, and man, God has blessed me, man, to be able to be a carrier of the message, you know, and I love being so. I love the sleepless nights. Sometimes I hate them, but for the most part, man, the feeling that I get afterwards is amazing. I do work with others. I do live this life, you know. I really can tell you that all this stuff in this book is 100% true in my own life, you know. And it has been amazing to take this journey with you guys. And I really hope that you got something from this. And if you're just like attending or something like that, if you go to my name and push the search bar, Matthew Anderson, in the search bar of this Facebook page, Northern Delaware Friends of Bill W., all the prior book studies will come up so you can review any of it, you know. It's a great format, and they just gave us precise instructions on how to recover. Those are the precise instructions on how to recover. So, you know, I hate to see y'all go, man, but I got some other stuff to do. And I still carry messages for other groups and attend other groups, and still do this deal in my everyday life, man. So God bless y'all, man, and just be lights to the world, you know, and let's just pray out, you know. So Father God, man, thank you for giving us this opportunity and allow us to do this book study together. And man, thank you for filling us up with light, man, and love and life, and just giving us the ability to be able to reach others, man, who are just as hopeless and broken as we were. And thank you for that condition, because we weren't able to find you in any other way. So it's been an honor, man, to do your work here. So fill the people's lives up that watch this entire book study, man. Fill them up with love and light, and let them be lights to the world, man, and shine bright like stars. In the name of you, Jesus, amen. So, and that's my power. That's the power that I choose to believe in, and it shouldn't make any difference on whether that's your power or not, but it's mine, you know. So go out there and shine bright like the sun, y'all. And I promise you, everything in this book is legitimate and it's real, man. And anything that doesn't work falls off the scene, you know. This ain't went nowhere. Therefore, it shows me it works, you know. So God bless you guys, and amen.